What if the most dangerous thing for your heart after 70 isn't something dramatic like fast food or cigarettes or stress-filled arguments, but something soft, warm, familiar, something you've held in your hands thousands of times without ever questioning it, something that smells like comfort and routine and quiet afternoons? Because that's how these things usually work. They don't come in loud warnings. They don't announce themselves with alarms. They slip in through habits. And this story really begins on an ordinary day with an ordinary man. Not famous, not reckless, not unhealthy, just older, just human. Just someone who believed that if something hadn't hurt him for decades, then surely it wouldn't hurt him now. And his name could be Frank or James or Robert, or maybe it's your father or your uncle, or even you. Sitting there after lunch, kettle on, steam rising, hand reaching automatically for the same tea bag you've used for years. Because after 70 life is already full of changes and losses and adjustments, and this one small ritual feels like something you still control, something that hasn't been taken away yet. And nobody wants to hear that this too might need to change, especially not when it feels harmless. Especially not when the world already tells you, don't, so many times. But here's the part nobody likes to talk about. Your heart after 70 is not the same heart you had at 40, or even 60. It's wiser maybe, but it's also more sensitive, more reactive, less tolerant of constant stimulation and strong caffeinated tea, especially black tea and concentrated blends. Doesn't land the same way anymore. The caffeine stays longer in your system. Your kidneys clear it slower. Your nervous system reacts sharper. And that warm, calming drink you think is relaxing, you might actually be quietly telling your heart to speed up when it should be slowing down. And this doesn't always feel dramatic. It feels subtle. It feels like slightly lighter sleep, a bit more tossing and turning, waking up at night with your heart beating just a little too fast. Not panic, just awareness, and you tell yourself it's age, or stress, or nothing at all, because admitting it might be the tea feels ridiculous, almost insulting. But this is how harm works at this stage of life. Not as a punch, but as pressure, gentle pressure applied day after day. And when people over 70 ignore these signs, it's not because they're careless. It's because they're tired of being told they're fragile. They don't want to live like glass. And honestly, they shouldn't have to. But strength at this age doesn't mean ignoring signals. It means respecting them, because the heart doesn't ask for much. It asks for rest, hydration, steady rhythms. And when you keep adding stimulants late in the day, even natural ones, you quietly take those things away. And what makes this even harder is the emotional attachment. Tea isn't just a drink, it's memory, it's identity. It's, this is what I've always done. And breaking that feels like breaking a piece of yourself. So people defend it, they joke about it, they wave it off. Until one night they're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, counting heartbeats. Wondering why sleep doesn't come anymore. Wondering why their chest feels tight without pain. Wondering why calm feels harder to reach than it used to. And here's the truth nobody says gently enough. After 70, your body becomes brutally honest. It stops buffering your mistakes. It stops absorbing small stresses quietly. It reports everything. And strong tea can become one of those stresses. Not because it's poison. And here's where the conversation gets real. Because once you cross 70, the goal isn't just living longer, it's living calmer. Sleeping deeper, breathing easier, waking up without that strange tight feeling that wasn't there before. And when you keep doing something out of habit, instead of checking how it actually makes you feel now, you hand control over to the past. And the past doesn't live in your body anymore. Your present does. And that's why so many older adults feel better within weeks of simply adjusting their tea habits, without even realizing that was the missing piece. Switching to lighter brews, herbal alternatives, or earlier timing. Not quitting life, just tuning it. And it's almost funny in a sad way how something so small can make such a noticeable difference. Steadier heart rhythm, fewer nighttime awakenings, less jittery fatigue, and people say things like, "I didn't know this was possible at my age." And that right there should make us angry. Because comfort and well-being shouldn't be surprises after 70. They should be protected. And look, nobody is saying never enjoy what you love again. Nobody is saying turn life into a list of restrictions. But wisdom, real wisdom, is knowing when a loyal habit quietly turns against you. And choosing yourself anyway, even when it feels strange. Even when it feels like giving something up. Because what you gain is often bigger than what you lose. And this message isn't just for you. It's for the son who never asks his father how he sleeps. It's for the daughter who notices her mother's hands shaking slightly and assumes it's just age. It's for the friend who jokes about being tired all the time, but hasn't slept through the night in years. And if that's you, hear this clearly. You are not weak for adjusting. You are not old for listening. And here's where most people blink and think, wait, just tea? But that's the thing. After 70, it's never just tea. It's everything your body can no longer buffer quietly. It's every small stimulant, every habit that used to slide by unnoticed. It's the fact that your heart and your metabolism and your nervous system don't have the same margin for error they did at 60 or 50. And that's why stories like Frank's repeat themselves quietly in kitchens, living rooms, and nursing home corners across the country. Men and women sitting with mugs in hand, thinking they're fine, thinking it's just routine, thinking comfort equals safety until the subtle signs start. Skipped beats, restless nights, jittery mornings, tight chests, shortness of breath that isn't dramatic enough for an ambulance, but dramatic enough to whisper, pay attention, and most shrug. Because who wants to face the idea that a daily habit, a beloved ritual, might be quietly harming them? Nobody wants to confront that. And I get it. Habits are identity. They are history. They are who I am. But what if you could honor the ritual, honor the memory, without letting it quietly edge against your heart, without letting a simple cup steal your sleep or calm, without letting your body pay for loyalty to routine? That's where awareness turns into action. And here's the thing. Most people wait until a major scare before they adjust. But adjustment doesn't have to be painful. It can be gentle, incremental, and even empowering. Swapping one cup for a lighter blend, one afternoon cup for an herbal substitute. Noticing how your body responds, feeling the difference in your heart, your breath, your calm, and suddenly, that ritual becomes something that actually supports life instead of quietly stressing it. And the emotional part hits deep, because it's not just about the heart physically, it's about confidence, dignity, independence, and peace of mind. It's about walking through your 70s and 80s knowing you're not at the mercy of a simple habit. It's about teaching yourself that age doesn't mean ignorance, that listening to your body is strength, not weakness. And imagine this, sitting with your favorite mug, lighter tea in hand, feeling warmth, smelling steam, feeling the calm actually calming instead of jittery, remembering decades of memories without costing a single one of the beats your heart needs to stay steady. That's freedom, that's wisdom, it's living smarter. And here's the kicker, once you notice it, once you respect it, once you adjust, it changes everything. Sleep improves. Mornings feel lighter, stress feels manageable. Your heart feels steady. You feel more alive. And that's why I'm saying this, not to scare anyone, but to wake people up before they ignore the signs. Because the heart is patient, but it's not infinitely patient. And every skipped beat, every restless night, every subtle tightness is a little message you can't afford to miss. And if you're watching this, nodding along, Thinking about your own afternoon cup or your parents', consider this pause a gift. Consider this awareness a chance to protect life without losing joy. And here's my final suggestion for this part. Experiment with lighter teas. Notice how your body reacts. Hydrate, sleep early, talk to your doctor about subtle irregularities. Don't wait until you're forced to stop something you love, and share this story. Because chances are someone you care about is still drinking that same strong black tea every afternoon thinking it's harmless. And if it reaches even one person and helps them adjust, that small ripple is everything. And that ripple is the kind of wisdom we all need in our 70s, 80s, and beyond, because life doesn't stop teaching. And listening is how we keep up. And now, let's get real for a minute, because after 70, it's not just about habits or tea or routines. It's about respect for yourself, for your heart, for every quiet beat that's been carrying you this far. And that's why this matters more than you might think. Because life after 70 isn't about fear. It's about clarity, about noticing the subtle ways the body speaks, about listening without judgment. And let me tell you, change doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to hurt. It can be as simple as replacing a cup of strong black tea with something lighter, something herbal, something gentle that gives you comfort without edging against your rhythm. And yeah, you might grumble at first. You might miss the old taste, the old ritual, and that's okay. It's human, it's real, it's part of the process. But here's the beauty. You start noticing the difference. Your sleep deepens, mornings feel calmer, heart beats steady. Energy feels consistent. Stress doesn't spike for no reason. And suddenly, that ritual that felt harmless before now feels intentional. It feels safe. It feels empowering. And that, my friends, is the kind of wisdom that makes the 70s, 80s, and beyond not just bearable but rich, full, meaningful. Because it's not about giving things up. It's about giving yourself the best chance to thrive. And here's where I need you to really hear me. If you've ever glanced at your mug mid-afternoon and thought, is this still helping me or just comforting habit? Pause, listen, notice, because that pause could be life-changing. Literally, not in a dramatic sense, but in a steady, peaceful, subtle way that keeps your heart from unnecessary stress. And this applies to anyone watching, not just you, because maybe you're 70, maybe you're 60, maybe you're 50 and thinking ahead. The point is the same. Awareness beats ignorance, adjustment beats blind habit, and respect for your body beats denial every single time. And when you share this with someone over 70, when you comment, I hear you, when you start small with lighter tea, earlier timing, better hydration, better sleep, you're not just changing a habit, you're creating a ripple, a subtle but powerful ripple of awareness, of care, of life wisdom. And that ripple matters because it can save comfort, laughter, mornings, freedom, dignity, peace of mind, and the kind of calm nights where your heart doesn't whisper warnings. It just beats steady, calm, reliable, like it should. And you realize that the simplest adjustments can carry the biggest impact. That honoring your body doesn't diminish joy. It enhances it. And finally, if you've ever doubted that a small daily ritual could affect you after 70, stop doubting, pay attention. Experiment, notice, adjust, care, share, and then watch, quietly, subtly, how life begins to feel easier, safer, calmer, and more yours again, because that's what wisdom after 70 really is. Not rules, not fear, not panic, just awareness, adjustment, and respect for yourself, your body, and your heart. And if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Every small mindful choice matters more than we realize. And the sooner you listen, the sooner you protect the most important rhythm in your life, your heart. And if this message resonates, share it with someone over 70, comment, listening. Start adjusting today. And remember, comfort doesn't have to hurt. Habits don't have to harm. And life after 70 can still be full of warmth, laughter, and steady, healthy heartbeats if you just pay attention.